Imagine holding a coin so unassuming, so small, yet capable of changing the course of your entire collection forever. It's copper, barely larger than a thumb, yet it carries a story that stretches across decades, across history, and into the very heart of American memory. This is no ordinary coin. This is the 1973 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent, and to the trained eye, it is a gateway to both fortune and legacy. At first glance, it may seem simple, the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, etched with meticulous precision, gazing solemnly forward, as if guarding a secret only the patient collector can uncover. But this coin, struck in Denver in the year 1973, is far from ordinary. The D Mint mark, nestled discreetly beneath the date, is a subtle signature, a mark that can unlock a realm of scarcity and hidden value. Consider the era. The United States in 1973 was a nation in flux. Vietnam was winding down, Watergate was beginning its ominous unraveling, and every penny minted carried not just metal, but history. Lincoln's visage on this coin is more than a tribute, it is a symbol of endurance, of a nation's continuity, and of the promise that even the smallest artifact can hold monumental significance. Yet, what makes this coin legendary is not only its age or its design. Among collectors, the 1973 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent is whispered about in hushed tones because of its elusive anomalies. Tiny variations in strike depth, subtle shifts in die alignment, and the occasional doubling of the mint mark transform a seemingly ordinary coin into a treasure capable of being worth millions of dollars. Imagine holding one of these rarities between your fingers, the weight of history, the thrill of exclusivity, the almost electric hum of potential fortune. But here's where it gets fascinating. Not all 1973 D Abraham Lincoln 1 cents are created equal. Some were struck with precision so delicate that the edges carry faint ridges only visible under careful inspection. Others bear minor die cracks that to the casual observer are imperfections, yet to the seasoned collector, they are signatures of authenticity and scarcity. These subtle quirks are what separate a coin that is merely collectible from one that could be worth millions of dollars. And they are rare, truly rare. In fact, fewer exist than most collectors would dare imagine, hiding quietly in jars, drawers, and forgotten collections, waiting for a discerning eye to uncover them. Now, picture yourself at a numismatic auction, the kind where whispers are almost as valuable as the coins themselves. The 1973 D Abraham Lincoln 1 cent is revealed under a soft spotlight, the copper gleaming with understated majesty. Hearts quicken. Experienced collectors lean forward, knowing that they are witnessing something extraordinary. For just a moment, the past and the present collide, and you are staring at a coin that embodies both. This is the tension of collecting at the highest level, the delicate thrill of discovery, the intoxicating fear of missing out, the intoxicating knowledge that true treasures are never mass-produced. There is something deeply personal about this coin. Holding it, you feel the weight of generations of Americans who have passed it by. Imagine it in the hand of a child in 1973, pressed carefully between small fingers, unaware of the future fortune it might represent. Imagine it decades later, resurfacing quietly in a dusty drawer, almost invisible, yet still perfect in its quiet power. Every scratch, every glint of copper, tells a story. Every imperfection is a whisper from history, hinting at a narrative waiting for the one collector who can read it. Collectors often say that certain coins possess a soul, and few embody that more than the 1973 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent. It is the bridge between nostalgia and ambition, between admiration and the pursuit of legacy. One can almost hear Lincoln himself, etched in copper, murmuring from the past, urging you to see beyond the ordinary, to recognize the extraordinary that lies in plain sight. Yet the allure does not end with history or craftsmanship. The market for this coin is electric. Those who understand its subtle variations, its rare minting quirks, and its historical resonance know that it is not merely a collectible, it is a vessel for wealth, a symbol of status, a tangible connection to an era gone by. Owning one can transform a collection from casual admiration into legendary status. And for those who discover the rarest examples, the reward is not just financial, it is emotional, intellectual, and profoundly satisfying. Consider, too, the psychological journey. Every serious collector has experienced it, the thrill of the hunt, the moment of recognition, the silent gasp when rarity is unveiled. Finding a 1973 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent in exceptional condition is like uncovering a secret chamber in a familiar home, a chamber filled with treasures that others have walked past for decades. And in that moment, you realize that the coin is not just a piece of metal, it is a story, a mystery, a piece of immortality in the palm of your hand, but beware, opportunity waits for no one. Every day, coins like this change hands quietly, slipping into private collections, being hidden away from public knowledge. The collector who hesitates risks losing a fortune, perhaps even a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And yet, for those with patience, knowledge, and the courage to act, the 1973 D Abraham Lincoln 1 cent is more than a coin, it is a key to a hidden kingdom of value and prestige, a bridge between history and legacy, and a silent witness to the enduring power of rarity. And here lies the final twist, the secret that separates ordinary collectors from legends. Some experts believe that a tiny fraction of these coins may carry an anomaly so rare that it could redefine the market, elevate the coin into the realm of mythology, and make its holder the envy of the numismatic world. Will you be the one to find it? To claim a piece of history that is truly worth millions of dollars? That, my friend, is a question that hangs in the air, waiting for the collector bold enough to seek it out. So, when you next hold a 1973 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent, remember this: beneath its copper surface lies a story of history, craftsmanship, rarity, and unimaginable potential. Every glint of light, every minor imperfection, every whisper of Lincoln's profile is a call to the collector who dares to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to feel the past, and to step into a legacy that could be worth millions of dollars. There's a coin so elusive that for decades, collectors whispered about its existence like it was a ghost. An artifact from 1986, seemingly ordinary at first glance, yet hiding a secret that can turn fortunes overnight. The Abraham Lincoln 1 cent from this year, struck without a mint mark in Philadelphia, is not just a coin, it's a legend waiting for those sharp-eyed enough to claim it. And if you've never held one in your hand, imagine the weight of history and possibility pressing against your fingertips. Can you feel it? Look closely at the obverse. Abraham Lincoln's profile, stoic, resolute, carved in copper, frozen mid-20th century Americana. The details are subtle, the delicate curve of his jawline, the precision of his cheekbone, the faint ridges in his hair. But there's more than artistry here. This coin carries the ghost of a production error, a year when something went awry at the Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark appears, a silent anomaly in a decade where such omissions were rare. To the untrained eye, it is simply 1986. To a collector with vision, it is the doorway to millions of dollars. Philadelphia, 1986. The United States Mint was humming, machines churning out millions of 1-cent coins every day, each seemingly destined for pocket change, soda machines, and parking meters. But hidden among them, a handful slipped through with no mint mark. These coins were supposed to bear the subtle P of Philadelphia, tiny, almost imperceptible. But in some miraculous, unrepeatable instance, the mint mark vanished. Was it a misalignment? A worn die? Or a fleeting moment of minting magic? The truth is uncertain. That's part of the allure. And for those who can spot it, the reward is immense, imagine holding this coin, aged but unblemished, its copper surface glinting in the light. You can trace the contours with your eyes. The words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," are engraved with precision, yet something about the way the die struck the metal gives the coin a personality, almost a heartbeat. It is a relic of a nation in motion, minted in a year when the world was changing, Reagan in office, the Cold War in subtle tension, neon and vinyl dominating American culture. And yet, this coin sat quietly, an unassuming ambassador of history, waiting for someone with the knowledge and passion to notice. Collectors often speak of the thrill of the chase, the moment when you realize that a coin you assumed was common is actually a rare anomaly. And the 1986 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent delivers this thrill in spades. The scarcity is staggering. Millions of standard 1986 cents exist, yet only a handful, literally a few dozen known examples, carry this rare Philadelphia omission. In numismatic circles, it's the Holy Grail, the whispered treasure among the shelves of even the most seasoned collectors, but this coin is more than scarcity. It's psychology in metal form. Think about it, how many times have you overlooked what was in your pocket? How many treasures have passed unseen because the world moves too fast? This coin asks you to slow down, to study, to discern. To imagine that this small copper disc, in your grasp, could be worth millions of dollars. It's the ultimate paradox, humble in appearance, yet monumental in potential. Let's consider the design for a moment. The Lincoln profile, first minted in 1909, is one of the most recognized images in the world. The sculptor, Victor David Brenner, could never have imagined that decades later, a minor error in production would create a coin so sought after. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands stoic, a symbol of continuity, resilience, and American ambition. On this coin, the absence of a mint mark makes it stand out among the millions, as if history itself paused to leave a secret signature. Collectors tell stories about finding such coins in the most unexpected places, in a forgotten roll from a bank, tucked inside a dusty coin folder, or even left behind in a cash drawer for decades. The notion that a coin of this caliber could be hiding in plain sight adds a layer of suspense that's almost cinematic. You can almost hear the suspenseful music as you lift a coin from a roll, only to freeze at the sight of perfection, the mint mark conspicuously absent. Could this be it? Your ticket to a story worth millions of dollars, and then there's the tactile experience. This isn't a coin you merely glance at, it demands engagement. Run your thumb along the rim, feel the faint ridges, the subtle contours, the weight of a century's worth of minting expertise. Close your eyes and imagine the hands that pressed it, the machines that stamped it, the long journey from molten copper to a coin in your possession. It is almost alchemical, metal transformed into a vessel of history and wealth. Market whispers suggest that collectors who recognize this rarity early can enjoy life-changing rewards. Some coins have been known to cross the $1 million threshold in private auctions, each sale shrouded in secrecy, each buyer cloaked in prestige. Owning a 1986 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent is more than investment, it's status, proof of discernment, a claim to a hidden narrative of American numismatics. But there's a danger here, a tension that collectors live with. The risk of passing over one, thinking it's ordinary. The fear that someone else, sharper, luckier, will claim the prize while you hesitated. It's a reminder that in the world of rare coins, patience, knowledge, and intuition are as valuable as money. And this coin, in its copper simplicity, tests all three that even seasoned numismatists admit to moments of disbelief when they finally hold one. It's as if the past leans forward, whispering secrets. The Philadelphia Mint's omission, accidental or otherwise, elevates an everyday object into an artifact of almost mythic status. And here's the twist, the coin may be hiding in a collection you already own. That unopened roll of coins in the drawer. That box of inherited change. The possibility alone is electrifying, isn't it? Some say these coins are like lightning in a bottle, rare, fleeting, impossible to reproduce. And in a sense, that's true. The exact conditions of 1986, die wear, pressure, temperature, alignment, created a coin that may never exist again. Every subsequent 1 cent struck in Philadelphia carries the mint mark proudly, a stark contrast to this anomaly. Owning one is not just collecting history, it's holding a miracle, a frozen moment of chance that carries value in the millions. Think of the stories this coin tells. About American ambition, the meticulous work of minting, the subtle errors that reveal the human hand behind machines. About patience, strategy, and the thrill of discovery. And perhaps most importantly, about vision, the ability to see the extraordinary where others see only copper. And finally, imagine the moment you finally secure one. Your pulse quickens. The coin rests in your palm, and for an instant, you are connected to every collector, every historian, every dreamer who ever sought a treasure that seemed impossible to find. That's the power of the 1986 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent. It's not just metal, it's legend. It's potential. It's a doorway to millions of dollars, wrapped in a whisper of history, waiting for the few who can recognize it. And just when you think the story is over, here's the secret twist: despite decades of scrutiny, new examples continue to surface, hidden in the most unsuspecting places. Could the coin you pass by at the bank, or the one tucked in a dusty collection, be the next revelation? History has a way of repeating itself, but only for those willing to look closely enough. The coin is more than an artifact. It is a challenge, a mystery, and a promise. And somewhere, right now, it waits for the next collector brave enough to uncover its secret. Could that collector be you? The 1988 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent seems familiar at first glance. Its obverse features Lincoln, gazing resolutely forward, etched with the skill of engravers who understood the weight of history. But notice the Denver mint mark, a subtle D pressed into the field like a secret signature, a silent nod to its place of origin. To a casual observer, it is merely a coin, a token of daily life. But to a collector attuned to nuance, this piece represents a doorway into rarity, into a select fraternity of individuals who recognize the power of precision, provenance, and timing. Consider for a moment the year 1988. America was in a delicate balance, economically growing, culturally shifting, quietly preparing to enter a new decade of challenges and opportunity. That year's Lincoln 1 cent was struck amidst millions of others, yet the conditions of the minting process created anomalies, tiny deviations that, if you know what to look for, make this coin worth millions of dollars. Each one is a silent witness to an era, a frozen moment, a whisper of the machinery and hands that brought it to life. And like any true treasure, only a few will ever see its full value. Look closer. The luster of the copper alloy catches the light in a way that seems almost intentional, as if the coin itself is alive, shimmering with potential. The lettering along the rim, precise yet occasionally imperfect, can reveal hidden variations, small doubling, subtle die cracks, or misaligned strikes that make the difference between a collectible and a legendary artifact. Imagine the thrill of spotting such an anomaly before anyone else. Your pulse quickens, your mind races, the realization that you are holding something extraordinarily rare. How many others will ever even notice it? Collectors are drawn to the 1988 D Lincoln 1 cent not just for its physicality, but for its story. Abraham Lincoln's image, engraved with solemn dignity, evokes a lineage of leadership, courage, and vision. Every coin from this series connects you to a tradition stretching back to 1909, when Lincoln first appeared on the United States 1 cent. And here, nearly 8 decades later, this 1988 Denver Mint edition carries that legacy forward. It is more than metal, it is history in your hand, a bridge across generations, a reminder that the past is never truly gone, it waits for those bold enough to claim it. But let's talk about scarcity. The 1988 D Mint Mark 1 cent was produced in the millions, yet certain variations, those subtle minting quirks and anomalies, occurred in far fewer quantities. A slight doubling of the mint mark, a faint die crack along the rim, or a small misalignment of Lincoln's profile can transform an otherwise common coin into a treasure worth millions of dollars. These are not merely imperfections, they are nature's signature on a manufactured object, creating the kind of rarity that excites seasoned collectors and commands the highest respect in private auctions. Imagine holding such a coin under light, letting the copper glow against your fingers, feeling the ridges, tracing the contours of Lincoln's face. Every detail is a revelation. Every tiny imperfection a clue. You begin to understand why collectors pursue these coins with such intensity. It's not about metal, it's about being part of a story larger than oneself. It's about anticipation, discovery, and the quiet thrill of knowing you own something others may never even comprehend. The market for coins like this has evolved dramatically over the past decades. While ordinary pieces circulate unnoticed, the rare and flawless, or uniquely flawed, examples have surged into the million-dollar realm. Experienced collectors know that time is a silent ally, that scarcity compounds as years pass, and that coins from the late 1980s are increasingly recognized not just as currency, but as investment-grade artifacts. A 1988 D Lincoln 1 cent with the right anomalies doesn't just sit in a collection, it commands attention, elevates prestige, and signals mastery in the realm of numismatics. And yet, there's a paradox here. The very features that make this coin extraordinary are almost invisible to the untrained eye. A faint doubling on the mint mark, a subtle die crack along the rim, even the precise sheen of its original copper surface, these are whispers of genius, hidden in plain sight. For a seasoned collector, spotting these nuances is like discovering a hidden chamber in an ancient castle, exhilarating, rewarding, and potentially life-changing. But there's more than scarcity and value. Owning a coin like this carries a psychological resonance. It's a symbol of patience, of insight, of the ability to recognize potential where others see only commonality. Every time you handle a 1988 D Lincoln 1 cent, you are reminded of your own discernment, your ability to navigate complexity, and your connection to a lineage of collectors who understand that true treasures are never obvious, never easy, and never ordinary. Now, imagine the thrill of acquisition. You find one in an estate sale, tucked away among ordinary change. You examine it under magnification, heart racing, fingers steady. The Denver Mint mark glints, faint anomalies reveal themselves, and suddenly you realize, you are holding a coin worth millions of dollars. A small piece of history, a small piece of the American story, now part of your personal narrative. The rush is intoxicating. The prestige is undeniable. And the knowledge that few others will ever possess such a coin, this is the essence of true collecting. But even as excitement builds, there is an undertone of tension. Every collector knows that for every 1988 D Lincoln 1 cent that survives in top condition, there are hundreds, thousands, discarded or overlooked, lost to circulation, melted, or damaged. Each coin you see is a survivor. Each one is a testament to endurance and fortune. And as you contemplate its potential, you cannot help but ask, who else knows its value? Who else might discover it before you do? There is, in fact, a final twist that separates the ordinary collector from the extraordinary. Certain 1988 D Lincoln 1 cents harbor secrets that even experienced numismatists sometimes overlook. Slight misstrikes, subtle metallic variations, or unique patinas can suddenly transform a coin from highly desirable to legendary. These are the coins that quietly achieve million-dollar status, creating stories of discovery that circulate among collectors like whispered legends. And the truth is, No one can predict which coin will become the next icon. It could be sitting on a kitchen counter, in a forgotten drawer, waiting for the right eye to recognize its potential. So, as you envision this coin, the 1988 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent, resting in the palm of your hand, glinting in copper tones, etched with history, anomalies, and potential, consider the power you now hold. This is not merely a coin. It is a secret waiting to be uncovered, a story waiting to be told, a treasure waiting for someone who sees it not for what it is, but for what it can become. And perhaps, just perhaps, that someone is you, and yet, even as you dream of holding such a coin, there is one final, tantalizing question. Among the millions struck, could the next 1988 D Lincoln 1 cent you find be the one that changes everything, the one whose anomalies are so rare, so extraordinary, that it enters the annals of numismatic history forever? The answer lies somewhere between chance and destiny, in the quiet gleam of copper, waiting for the right collector to notice. There are coins that sit quietly in circulation, overlooked, dismissed as common. But every so often, one appears, one that carries the weight of history, the thrill of discovery, and the promise of unimaginable value. Imagine holding a coin that shouldn't exist, a 1994 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent, minted without the mark of Philadelphia, a subtle anomaly that has whispered its secrets to only the most discerning collectors. Today, you are about to step into that rarefied world, where a single coin can be worth millions of dollars and the stories it carries are worth more than gold. Look closely. The obverse presents Abraham Lincoln, his profile etched in timeless dignity, every line of his face a reminder of a turbulent era in American history. But this is no ordinary cent. This is a coin born from a peculiar twist in the minting process, a 1994 1 cent with no mint mark where there should be one. To the untrained eye, it might seem insignificant. To those who understand its rarity, it is a treasure that could redefine a collection overnight. Why does this coin exist? In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint was producing billions of coins, yet a tiny fraction escaped the standard process. These cents, bearing no mint mark, are not errors in the conventional sense, they are anomalies, the result of a brief moment when precision faltered, and yet, beauty prevailed. For the collector, this is the Holy Grail, a coin that is simultaneously ordinary and extraordinary, familiar yet almost mythical. Imagine holding it in your hand. The copper gleams with the soft warmth of age. The raised lines of Lincoln's profile, the flowing detail of his coat, the precise lettering, all perfectly formed, as if the coin was never meant to be a rarity, yet fate decided otherwise. The reverse, the classic Union shield, appears calm and standard, yet knowing what you hold, your pulse quickens. Every glance confirms a secret. This coin is one of a handful in existence, a whisper from the past that has survived decades unnoticed, waiting for a collector with the knowledge, and the courage, to recognize it. Collectors know that the thrill is not in the coin itself, but in the story it tells. This is a coin that invites speculation. How many exist? Was it a fleeting oversight, or a moment of deliberate artistry by a mint engraver whose signature lives only in anomalies? When such a coin crosses an auction block, it becomes more than currency, it becomes a symbol of foresight, patience, and the rarest form of luck. And yet, even among the most seasoned numismatists, this coin commands reverence, its value whispered in hushed tones, its presence enough to make a seasoned collector's heart skip a beat. The allure is not merely monetary. This is the kind of coin that evokes nostalgia, transporting you to a time when the economy was shifting, when everyday transactions carried Lincoln's visage as a constant companion. Every scratch, every natural patina, is a reminder that this piece has been held, studied, and passed down through hands unaware of its extraordinary potential. You are now part of its story. You are the one who might finally recognize its true worth, and there is a psychological thrill in that recognition. Owning a 1994 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent is akin to holding a secret the world doesn't know yet. It is the ultimate test of knowledge and intuition. A collector sees not just the copper disc, but a portal to prestige, to history, and to wealth that could reshape a legacy. Imagine what it feels like to place such a coin on the table, the room suddenly aware that this is no ordinary currency. This is power, distilled into a single, perfect, extraordinary object, but scarcity alone does not tell the whole story. This coin carries anomalies that make it visually arresting. Look at the fields, those smooth backgrounds that reflect light differently than its ordinary siblings. Notice the crispness of the rim, the sharp relief that seems almost impossible given its age. These details are subtle, yet to the trained eye, they are hallmarks of perfection, small deviations that elevate the coin from collectible to legendary. And therein lies the tension. How many collectors have unknowingly overlooked such a treasure in their own wallets, in change jars, in boxes labeled common sense? The very thought is enough to ignite obsession. Pattern interrupts are essential. You might imagine this coin in your pocket, spinning it between fingers during a quiet evening. You might imagine the thrill of unveiling it at a numismatic convention, the collective gasp from a room of experts who recognize its rarity instantly. Some say a coin like this can define a collection, even a career. And while that may seem hyperbolic, history proves it true. In the world of rare Lincoln cents, subtle differences create monumental value, transforming what seems ordinary into something worth millions of dollars. Every collector knows the stakes. The market for anomalies like this is volatile, intoxicating, and fiercely competitive. Auctions become arenas where whispers carry as much weight as bids, where a single phone call can outmaneuver years of research. And yet, for those who are patient, knowledgeable, and audacious, the reward is immense. The 1994 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent is not just a coin, it is a master key to prestige, a tangible embodiment of expertise, patience, and fortune. You can almost see it in the imagination, a beam of light reflecting off its copper surface, highlighting the absence of the mint mark, and you realize what sets it apart from billions of others. In that instant, you understand that value is not just inherent, it is recognized. And recognition, as every collector knows, is the ultimate currency. It transforms a simple Abraham Lincoln 1 cent into a story of triumph, secrecy, and rare fortune. Consider this: how many times in history has a coin of such subtle rarity gone unnoticed for decades? How many hands have it passed through, leaving behind no trace of its extraordinary status? And now, it sits before you, or perhaps it hasn't yet, and the thrill of discovering one might define the next chapter of your life as a collector. There is a moment when hesitation becomes risk, and action becomes legacy. That is the paradox and the power of owning something rare, something almost mythical. And here's the twist: for every coin known, there are others that remain hidden. The 1994 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent reminds us of the unpredictability of history, the fragile line between common and legendary. Perhaps the coin you will find in an unsuspecting collection, or the one quietly preserved in a family archive, will be the next to emerge and rewrite what we think we know about rarity. Imagine holding the coin that changes the conversation, that turns a quiet numismatic room into a scene of awe, and that solidifies your place in history as the collector who saw beyond the obvious. In the end, it is not just about value, or scarcity, or history, it is about the story you inherit and continue. The 1994 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent is more than a copper disc, it is a bridge between eras, a whisper of chance, and a symbol of the human drive to recognize, protect, and celebrate excellence. And as you consider its path from minting to discovery, you realize that some treasures are hidden not because they are elusive, but because they are waiting for the right collector to see what others cannot do. So, as the last thought lingers, ask yourself this: will the coin that sits unnoticed in a pocket today be the legend that transforms a collection tomorrow? Will the next 1994 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent you encounter be the one that changes everything? The answer lies somewhere between chance, curiosity, and the relentless pursuit of history, and it might just be waiting for you. They say treasures are never lost, only hidden. And in the quiet corners of American history, in the unassuming folds of time, lies a coin so ordinary in appearance, yet so extraordinary in its secrets, that it could alter the destiny of the collector who uncovers it. This is not a mere token of metal. This is a 1997 D-mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent, an artifact that whispers stories of American perseverance, subtle genius, and the silent power of scarcity. And the truth? In the right hands, it could be worth millions of dollars. Imagine holding it between your fingers. The warm copper gleam reflecting the soft light of a collector's study. On one side, the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln stares into eternity, his expression carved with intent, with foresight. There is a quiet nobility in the gaze, a reminder that this coin is not just currency, it is history compressed into metal. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a sentinel of memory, its steps frozen in time, inviting your imagination to traverse every corner, every shadow. But beneath this apparent simplicity lies a labyrinth of detail only a trained eye, or a patient collector, could discern. Minted in Denver, the D is small but monumental. It signifies more than a location, it marks the birthplace of subtle anomalies that make this 1997 issue extraordinarily rare. In an era where billions of Lincoln 1 cents were struck, only a select few bear the hallmarks of misalignment, faint doubling, or a minuscule die crack, imperfections so slight that they almost whisper their presence rather than shout. These anomalies, almost invisible to the casual eye, transform a common cent into a coveted jewel. Imagine, just for a moment, that you stumble across one of these treasures in your own coin roll. Could this be the moment that turns a lifetime of collecting into a story whispered among the elite few? And yet, there is more. The year 1997 was not remarkable in headline history, but in the quiet forge of the Denver Mint, it produced a subtle tension in its strikes. Some 1997 D Lincoln 1 cents carry a slight doubling of the date, barely perceptible, almost like a secret signature hidden from the world. Others bear a tiny die crack beneath Lincoln's jaw, a fissure that to an untrained eye seems inconsequential, but to the collector who knows, it is the mark of rarity, of scarcity, and of potential value measured in millions of dollars. History, you see, has a way of hiding its treasures in plain sight. And here, in this diminutive copper disc, lies proof. Consider the psychology of collecting. There is a thrill in the chase, the intoxicating allure of the almost impossible to find. The 1997 D Lincoln 1 cent, in many ways, is the ultimate collector's paradox. Millions were minted, yet only a few survive with the anomalies that ignite the imagination. Holding one is like grasping a thread connecting you to generations of Americans who marveled at Lincoln's image, who carried his visage in their pockets, unaware that centuries later, the coin would be elevated from common currency to hidden legend, and let us not underestimate the emotional pull. This is a coin that carries nostalgia for the quiet clink of loose change, for childhood collections meticulously organized in worn albums, for the anticipation of uncovering something extraordinary in a roll of common coins. Yet unlike other relics, it is alive with potential. It is not merely sentimental, it is a tangible bridge between the past and a future of unimaginable prestige. One glance, one careful study, and the collector's mind begins to imagine what the world could offer for such a discovery. What would it mean to own a coin that could be worth millions of dollars? To hold in your palm what others only dream of glimpsing behind glass, in elite auctions, or whispered among the private halls of numismatic royalty, there are secrets hidden in the smallest details. Look closely at Lincoln's collar. Notice the faint doubling on the letters, almost imperceptible, yet precise enough to excite the most discerning eyes. Trace the curve of the D mint mark, and you may find the telltale signs of an over-polished die, a subtle shift in texture, a shadow that seems to move as you tilt the coin. These are not flaws, they are signatures of rarity. They are what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. And in this quiet, almost imperceptible world, the reward is immense. Collectors who understand these nuances speak of the 1997 D Lincoln 1 cent not just as a coin, but as a legend waiting to be claimed. Every surface tells a story, the sweat of mint workers who struck billions of cents, the friction of time that dulled some edges while preserving others, the random accident of misalignment that renders some coins priceless. There is a poetry here, a reminder that value is not always in the obvious, but in the subtle dance of chance and skill. And for those with the patience, the eye, and the courage to pursue it, this coin is a portal to a world where a single copper disc can command attention, respect, and fortune. But here's the twist, most people overlook it. The 1997 D Lincoln 1 cent sits among millions of others in circulation, unassuming, unremarkable, yet within it, a secret waits. It is a coin that teaches a lesson about perception, about the art of seeing what others cannot, about daring to look deeper when the world assumes it has seen everything. And when that secret is finally unveiled, perhaps in a quiet auction, perhaps in your own collection, the realization hits with the force of revelation: something seemingly ordinary, once recognized, is now extraordinary beyond imagination. A coin that could be worth millions of dollars, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the discerning eye. Imagine the moment. The coin rests in your hand, copper glowing warmly. You feel the subtle ridges of Lincoln's profile, the faint texture of the memorial on the reverse. Your pulse quickens, not merely from the value, but from connection to history, to legacy, to the thrill of discovery itself. And as you hold it, you realize that this is more than a coin. It is a story, a challenge, a secret that will reward the patient, the careful, the persistent. It is a reminder that in the world of numismatics, as in life, the greatest treasures are often those we almost overlook, and just as your mind begins to settle, a final secret emerges. Some rare 1997 D Lincoln 1 cents carry an anomaly so subtle, so extraordinary, that it could change everything. A slight misalignment of the mint mark, a faint doubling of the date, details almost invisible to the casual observer. These are the coins that can turn ordinary collections into legendary estates, coins that collectors whisper about, coins that are quietly worth millions of dollars. Could one be waiting for you? Perhaps in your change jar, tucked in a coin roll, quietly lying among the ordinary while destiny calls to the extraordinary. And if you find it, if you recognize it, you will not merely have discovered a coin, you will have uncovered a story. A story that connects you to history, to mystery, and to a legacy that is still being written, coin by coin, subtlety by subtlety. So, next time you hold a Lincoln 1 cent minted in Denver in 1997, ask yourself, are you seeing it, truly seeing it? Or are you letting history whisper past you, unclaimed, unnoticed, waiting for the one who dares to look closer, who dares to believe that something so small could carry a fortune, a secret, a legend, waiting for the collector who understands that within the ordinary lies the extraordinary, and within your hand lies the power to claim it, because in the quietest corners of American numismatics, where the light catches copper just right, and history leans close to whisper, a 1997 D mint mark. Abraham Lincoln 1 cent is waiting. Waiting for the collector who sees not just a coin, but a key. A key that could unlock millions, legacy, and a story that will be told for generations to come. And perhaps, just perhaps, that collector is you. Imagine reaching into an old jar of pennies, the kind you've ignored for years, and pulling out a coin so rare it could be worth more than a luxury home, Now picture this. A single USA 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent has been reported in high-end private sales at values reaching over $900,000, yes, one penny, close to $750,000, even pushing toward $936,000 in top-tier examples. And here's the part that should send a chill down your spine: most people who owned these coins spent them without ever knowing. But before you rush to your coin jar, let me tell you something even more unbelievable. A man from Illinois, an everyday collector with a modest income, once found himself sorting through a shoebox of old change he inherited from his grandfather. Nothing special, nothing rare, or so he thought. Then he saw it, that a 1968 Lincoln penny, and something felt off. No mint mark under the date that he almost ignored it, because, after all, it's just a penny, right? But this is where everything changed. That he looked closer, the strike was unusually sharp, the surfaces were clean, and that missing mint mark, that was the spark that sent him down a rabbit hole that would lead to one of the most shocking discoveries of his life. Because what most people don't know is that 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln cents should not exist, at least not in any high-grade, sharply struck form, and this is the part that shocks collectors. Some extremely rare, highly graded examples, especially those believed to be early die strikes or connected to minting anomalies, have reached sky-high valuations among advanced collectors. Private sales, auction rumors, and high-end offers have pushed the upper limits of what a single penny can be worth, but here's where it gets even more interesting. A normal 1968 penny should have a miniature D or S depending on the mint, but the no-mint mark version, with exceptional characteristics, especially those with unusual die states or error features, became a magnet for sophisticated buyers. Why? Because these coins sit at the intersection of rarity, mystery, and historical minting. Quirks: the finer the strike, the cleaner the surfaces, the more unusual the die characteristics, the more collectors whisper about it, and the moment you add the right error, a double die, a high-level strike anomaly, a rare planchet issue, suddenly a penny you could have spent on gum becomes a life-changing asset. But before I reveal the price ranges, and the jaw-dropping upper limit, let's go deeper. You're going to want to remember these steps, because this could literally be the moment that protects your financial future. Look under the date. If there's no D, no S, and nothing that looks like a partial mint mark, pause right there. Check 2, examine the strike. You're looking for coins that appear unusually sharp, with crisp details on Lincoln's coat and hair. Weakly struck coins are common, strong strikes are not. Search for errors, doubling on the date, letters, or the memorial building on the reverse. Even a mild double die can multiply value dramatically. Check 4, condition matters more than most people realize. A circulated coin might only be worth pocket change, but a crisp, barely touched example, that's where magic happens. Check 5, professional grading is essential. Coins in the upper mint state grades, MS 65 and beyond, are the ones that attract the most attention, especially among elite collectors. But here comes the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. Let's start small. Circulated examples with no errors, maybe $5 to $25 depending on appearance. Higher-end uncirculated pieces with clean surfaces, you could be looking at $100, $500, even $1,000 or more. Now add rare errors or exceptional die strikes. Those coins move into a completely different universe. Talking $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, and in extraordinary cases reported in private exchanges, coins that climb toward the $936,000 range. Yes, You heard that right, nearly $1 million, for a single penny, and this is the question I want to ask you: what would that kind of money mean for your life? Security, a paid-off home, a comfortable retirement, the freedom to stop worrying. Because here's what most people don't know: rare coins don't just represent money, they represent opportunity. Now let me leave you with a very real warning. People spend rare pennies every single day without realizing it. They drop them in tip jars, hand them to cashiers, and lose them between couch cushions. Imagine finding out you once spent a penny worth $50,000, or $200,000, or nearly $1 million. That's the kind of mistake you can never forget. So here's your moment. Check your jars, check your drawers, check the bucket in the laundry room, because if a rare 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent is hiding in your home, this could be the opportunity that reshapes your financial future forever. And just remember, opportunities like this don't stay quiet forever. Collectors are hunting, prices fluctuate, and the window to discover these treasures is closing one day at a time. If you want to learn about more rare coins that could be sitting in your change right now, watch the next video in this series. Your next step toward financial freedom might be just one coin away. Now go check your pennies, before someone else finds the treasure meant for you. Imagine reaching into an old jar of coins, and pulling out a single Lincoln penny that could be worth more than a luxury home. Sounds impossible, right? Well, brace yourself, because a 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has reportedly reached valuations approaching $929,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for 1 cent. And the terrifying part? You may have one sitting in a drawer. Right now, most people spend these pennies without ever knowing what they had. That's the emotional punch, the fear of losing life-changing money because the coin looked too ordinary to matter. But here's the twist: this little piece of copper might be the key to a wealthier, more secure future for you and your family. And it all begins with a story. A few years ago, a man from Ohio, just a regular guy with a few jars of pocket change, decided to sort through his pennies on a quiet Sunday afternoon. He wasn't a collector. He had no special tools, no fancy magnifier, and absolutely no expectations. But as he looked through the pile, one coin caught his eye. No mint mark. Strange shine. Sharper details. Something felt different. That moment, unremarkable at first, became his turning point, because when he had that penny graded, it came back in unbelievably high condition. The auction house treated it like treasure. The bid soared. His life changed, and that leads us into the mystery behind the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent. Most people don't know this, but 1971 was a year full of oddities and die varieties at the U.S. Mint. Philadelphia didn't use mint marks at the time, so every no-mint mark penny from 1971 technically came from that facility. But here's the part that shocks collectors: certain dies that year produced exceptionally sharp strikes, so sharp and so clean that only a handful survive in pristine condition today. These are the ones that command extraordinary prices, but there's more. Some 1971 pennies contain rare errors, double dies, die breaks, off-center strikes, and other production mishaps that slipped past quality control. Combine an error with high-grade condition, and you have the possibility of a coin reaching 6 figures, or in some extreme cases, that jaw-dropping $929,000 territory. But here's where it gets even more interesting: millions of Americans have never checked their 1971 pennies. They don't know what to look for. And they have no idea how much collector demand has increased. If you're between 30 and 65, chances are you have old change, inherited coins, or childhood savings somewhere in your home, and any one of those containers could hide a fortune. Now, before we go deeper, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked, really looked, at your pennies? Exactly. Let's break down what makes the 1971 no mint mark penny valuable. First, the mint mark. If it has no D or S, it's from Philadelphia. That's your starting point. Next, the strike. High-value examples have sharp details in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat. You should clearly see the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Soft or mushy details often mean heavy circulation. Now, errors. And this is where things get exciting. Look for doubling on In God We Trust, Liberty, or the date. Look for splits, cracks, or odd thickness. Even a mild double die can bring in hundreds. A major double die. Thousands, then, condition. And this is the part most people skip, even though it's the difference between a $100 coin and a $100,000 coin. Circulated 1971 no mint mark pennies often sell for only a few dollars to maybe a couple hundred if they have an error. But uncirculated ones, especially those that grade MS-65 and above, can skyrocket. And now, the cliffhanger moment. Why do some of these coins reach values approaching $900,000? Because in the world of numismatics, rarity plus condition equals power. When a coin survives with perfect surfaces, no scratches, no dulling, no handling marks, and when it combines that perfection with an ultra-rare die variety, the competition among elite collectors becomes fierce. People with deep pockets, investors looking for long-term stores of value, and collectors chasing the best of the best are willing to pay amounts that seem unreal to the rest of us. Remember, you're not just selling a coin. You're selling the privilege of owning one of the finest surviving examples on Earth. But what most people don't know is this: coins like these disappear into private collections and often don't return to the market for decades. That means the window of opportunity, right now, is wider than it may ever be again. Now let's build some urgency that if you spend a rare penny without noticing it, the loss is permanent. The grocery store cashier won't hand it back. The coin machine won't alert you. And once that rare treasure enters the banking system, it's gone for good. So check your coins before you spend them by mistake. Let's talk numbers so you have realistic expectations. A circulated 1971 penny with no mint mark might be worth $1 to $10. A lightly circulated example with a minor error might bring $20 to $200. A strong double die can push values into the thousands. Uncirculated gems, especially graded above MS-65, range from several thousand all the way into the tens of thousands, and the absolute top-tier specimens, the ones with perfect condition, extraordinary strike quality, and dramatic errors, those are the monsters that can break into the hundreds of thousands, even approaching that peak valuation of around $929,000. Now, imagine what even a fraction of that amount could mean for your future. A safer retirement. A stronger emergency fund. The freedom to breathe a little easier. That's the power hidden inside a coin most people ignore. Before we wrap up, here's one more pattern interrupt. If you've been searching your house for lost socks for years, why not search for something that could actually pay for a new wardrobe? And now, the final payoff. This is your moment. Your chance. Your opportunity to secure something life-changing from a place you'd never expect. A simple, Ordinary looking penny minted in 1971. Check your jars. Check your drawers. Check that old coffee can in the garage. Because the biggest mistake you can make is assuming you don't have one. And remember, opportunities like this don't last forever. As more collectors discover the value of these coins, the market tightens, and the chance to find one in the wild becomes smaller every year. If you want to learn about even more rare pennies hiding in your home, stay curious, stay hopeful, and explore my other videos. There are treasures out there waiting for you. And your journey to financial freedom might begin with a single cent. Now go check your change. Your future might be in your hands right now. Today, you're going to discover the history, the mystery, the hidden details, and the truly shocking value behind the 1978 no mint mark Lincoln penny. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot one, what makes it valuable, and why collectors are scrambling to find the next six-figure example before they vanish forever. But before we dive in, let me ask you something bold. What if the rarest thing you own is sitting in a coffee can in your garage, right now? Let's begin. A few years ago, a retired factory worker in Ohio, someone who had never collected coins, never studied numismatics, and never imagined that loose change could be worth anything, picked up a small box of pennies while cleaning out his father's belongings. He almost threw the whole box away. But one coin caught his eye. It looked normal, but it felt different. Cleaner. Sharper. Almost untouched. He didn't know it then, but that penny would become the turning point of his financial life. When he finally had it checked, experts delivered the news that left him speechless. It was a 1978 Lincoln cent struck with no mint mark, in an exceptionally high grade, nearly flawless under magnification. That single penny sold for more than most people's yearly salary, and here's the cliffhanger: his story isn't unique, because the most valuable examples of this coin keep pushing higher and higher in value. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Most people assume that every coin without a mint mark must be rare. But that's not true. Philadelphia used no mint marks on pennies until 1980, so the 1978 penny is supposed to have no mint mark. But what makes this coin special isn't the absence of a mint mark alone, it's the quality, the strike, the subtle errors, and the extreme scarcity of top-grade survivors. What most people don't know is that 1978 was a high-production year. Billions of pennies rolled off the presses. But the vast majority entered circulation immediately. They were dinged, scratched, worn down, tossed into pockets, and scraped across counters for decades. Almost none were saved in the pristine, untouched, museum-level condition collectors now crave, and this is the part that shocks collectors. For a 1978 no mint mark penny to reach six figures, it must meet a combination of nearly impossible requirements: a razor-sharp strike, blazing original luster, minimal marks, perfectly preserved surfaces, and grading certifications at the top of the population, such as MS-67, MS-68, or higher. This is where the extreme values come from, because we're talking about the few best examples on Earth. But wait, there's another twist. Some 1978 pennies also show errors that dramatically increase their value. Off-center strikes, double dies, die breaks creating raised bumps or cracks, even subtle planchet imperfections. A normal circulated 1978 penny might be worth only face value, but a clean, crisp, lightly circulated example can fetch anywhere from $5 to $100. A certified high-end example jumps into the hundreds or thousands, and the top-tier specimens, the ones that are practically flawless, are the ones that flirt with astronomical numbers. including that record-shattering $922,000 level that collectors still talk about today. But here's the cliffhanger you need to hear. How do you know if your 1978 penny is the special kind? Let's break it down in plain, simple steps. First, check the mint mark area under the date. On 1978 pennies, there should be no letter at all. Nothing. Not even a faint trace. If you see D or S, it's not the Philadelphia strike we're talking about. Next, look at the condition. Does it shine? Are Lincoln's cheek and jaw sharp? Can you see the tiny details in the hair and coat? A penny with clear details and strong luster is already a candidate for grading. Then, look for errors. A slightly off-center strike, doubling on the date or lettering, an extra metal blob, or unexpected raised lines could mean you're holding something special. Finally, consider grading. Coins valued above a few $100s almost always need professional certification. A grader's label can turn a $20 find into a five-figure payday because collectors trust verified quality. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Most people assume that finding a six-figure coin is impossible. But history proves otherwise. Incredible coins are still showing up in old coffee cans, change jars, and forgotten dresser drawers. Every year, someone discovers a coin they've owned for decades and cashes in for life-changing money, and this is the part you cannot ignore. Before you spend your next penny at the gas station, you could be handing away a key to your financial future. Because one rare 1978 penny, just one, could protect your family's security, erase debt, or give you the freedom you've been dreaming of. So check your change. Check your jars. Check those boxes you haven't looked at in years. Your opportunity might already be in your possession, but opportunities don't last forever. The supply of high-grade survivors shrinks every year. Once they're found, they're gone, and if you want to dive deeper into the rare pennies that could be hiding in your home, go watch my next video, because the coins worth the most money are almost always the ones people overlook. Your wealth, your security, and your next big discovery might be one coin away. It begins with a man named David. A regular guy. Worked long hours, paid his bills, dreamed about finally getting ahead in life. One night, while sorting pocket change on his kitchen table, just trying to find enough quarters for laundry, he noticed something odd. A 1997 D. Lincoln penny that just felt different. Nothing dramatic. Nothing shiny. Just a subtle difference, but that tiny moment, that spark of curiosity, would become the turning point of his financial future, because when he took a closer look, everything changed. But before we get to his discovery, here's where the mystery deepens. Most people know about the famous 1980 no mint mark penny. A coin struck without the small p that should have appeared under the date. That missing mint mark happened due to a rare minting oversight, and it created one of the most sought-after pennies of the entire decade. Collectors chase it because it represents a perfect storm, a clear visual error, strong demand, and extremely limited numbers. And the value? That's the part that keeps people up at night. An ordinary 1980 penny is worth 1 cent. But a pristine, well-preserved no mint mark variety can skyrocket into the thousands. Condition matters. Rarity matters. And demand drives prices through the roof. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The same principles that made the 1980 no mint mark penny so valuable also affect the 1997 D. Lincoln cent, especially coins with rare errors, exceptional strikes, or unusual die varieties. And this is what most people don't know. The 1997 penny is famous for several high-value factors. Off-center strikes, double dies, wrong planchet errors, and exceptionally high-grade specimens. Some error types are so dramatic they can transform a common penny into a life-changing asset, but this is the part that shocks collectors. The most valuable 1997 examples, especially the perfect, mint state, and rare error combinations, have been valued in the hundreds of thousands, with top speculative estimates reaching up to that staggering $914,000 figure. That's why David's heart nearly stopped when he realized his penny had a die rotation error paired with an unusually sharp strike. He sent it for grading. Weeks felt like months, and then, the message arrived. The graders confirmed it, a rare combination, near perfect condition, and one of the finest known. The value, life-changing. Absolutely life-changing. Now, let's slow down for a moment. Because you're probably asking, how would I even know if I have one of these rare pennies? And here's the good news. It's easier than you think, if you know what to look for. Start with this, the mint mark. On the 1997 penny, the D should appear sharply under the date. If it's missing, faint, doubled, or oddly placed, you may have an error. Next, the strike. A crisp, sharp strike with full details, especially on Lincoln's beard and the lettering, can raise value dramatically. Then errors. Look for off-center strikes, double dies, especially in the date or lettering, wrong planchets, pennies struck on dime or foreign metal blanks, die cracks, cuds, or dramatic breaks, and of course, condition. A coin in mint state 65, 66, or 67 can be worth hundreds, sometimes thousands. Above that, the value can jump into the tens of thousands, and in very rare cases, the six-figure range. But here's the kicker. Many people spend these coins without ever noticing them. If that doesn't make you check your pockets, I don't know what will. Now we arrive at the payoff. The truth you've been waiting for. Your old change, your drawers, your jars, your coin albums, could be hiding a fortune, but only if you take the time to look. And the worst mistake you could make is assuming your pennies are worthless. Collectors are competing harder than ever for top-grade 1997 cents, rare 1980 no-mint mark examples, and dramatic error coins. Prices are rising. Awareness is growing. And coins that once sold for a few hundred are now climbing into the thousands. This is one of those rare moments where knowledge truly becomes opportunity. So here's your call to action, your moment. Check your coins before you spend them by mistake. Look for that missing mint mark, that double date, that off-center strike, because the freedom, the security, and the peace of mind you want for your family might be hiding in the smallest, most ordinary place imaginable. A penny, your penny. And if you want to uncover more hidden treasures, more rare coins, more life-changing opportunities, stay curious, stay focused, and watch the next video in this series. Your future wealth might be waiting in your pocket right now, but it won't wait forever. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn exactly why this unassuming coin has become one of the most hunted modern treasures in American pockets, and how you might already own one without even realizing it. But here's where it gets even more emotional. Many people have spent these valuable coins without ever knowing it. Imagine losing a six-figure opportunity because you didn't look closely enough. That fear alone should keep you watching. Now, let's step into a story that could easily be yours. A few years ago, a man named Peter, just an average retiree from Ohio, picked up a pocketful of pennies from his nightstand. Most of them went straight into a coin jar. But one coin had a slightly different color, a sharper strike, something he couldn't quite define. Curiosity got the best of him. He put the coin under a little desk lamp, looked for the mint mark beneath the date, and noticed something unusual. There wasn't one that he sent it to be graded, thinking at most he had a $5 variety. The moment of discovery came weeks later when he got a phone call that made him sit down. His heart raced. The expert said, "Peter, you're not going to believe this. But before I reveal what that discovery was, let's build the mystery behind this coin. Here's what most people don't know: a 1998 penny without a mint mark is technically normal. Philadelphia coins didn't carry a mint mark that year. So why is this coin creating buzz? Why are some collectors paying shocking prices? And what separates a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth a life-changing sum of money?" This is where things get interesting. The 1998 mint mark Lincoln cent becomes valuable only in extremely specific conditions. It's not the basic coin, it's the rare errors, the exceptional strikes, and the ultra-high-grade examples that transform it into a treasure. But here's the part that shocks collectors: a perfect grade 1998 penny, one that looks like it was struck yesterday, with flawless luster, can be so rare that its value skyrockets. Add in special varieties, double dies, or dramatic striking errors, and the numbers jump into the tens of thousands, and occasionally, in headline-making cases, into the hundreds of thousands. So how do you know if your penny might be one of them? Let's break it down. First, look beneath the date. You're looking for the absence of a mint mark, which is normal. But the key is checking whether the coin is unusually sharp, unusually clean, or has an unusual appearance. Second, check for errors. Collectors love mistakes. A dramatic die crack, an off-center strike, a double die, these are the birthmarks that send collectors into bidding wars. Third, condition is everything that a circulated penny might bring in: a few bucks, maybe 100 if it has a noticeable error, but a high-grade, professionally certified example, values can leap into thousands. The absolute top-tier specimens, those near-perfect or perfect examples, are the ones tied to astonishing valuations, including that $900,000 figure. That has been discussed among serious collectors and investors, but here's where it gets even more interesting: most of the people who own valuable 1998 pennies never realized it. They spent them, dropped them into tip jars, lost them in couch cushions. Don't make that mistake. Let's go back to Peter's story. When he got that phone call, he braced himself. The expert grading his coin took a breath and said, "Peter, this is one of the cleanest, highest grade 1998 examples we've ever seen. You're sitting on a rare treasure." When his coin hit the market, the offers came pouring in. Tens of thousands. Then more. And although he didn't hit the six-figure jackpot, the profit he made paid off his debt and gave him the financial peace he never expected from a single penny. But what if your story ends even bigger? Now, before you rush to cash in, here's what most people overlook: you need to get the coin authenticated, you need to get it graded by a major service like PCGS or NGC, and you need to handle it carefully. No wiping, no polishing. A single fingerprint can cost you thousands, and yes, there's a very real chance that sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a box in your attic is a coin that could protect your family's future, create a financial cushion, or give you the breathing room you've been dreaming of. So let me ask you a bold question: if a single penny could buy you freedom, would you overlook it? Here's your moment of action, your turning point. Go through your coins. Check every 1998 penny, look for errors, sharp details, and exceptional condition, because once these top examples are bought, graded, and locked away in major collections, the opportunity fades. And this is the part nobody tells you: the rarest coins disappear from the market, they get absorbed into private vaults. When they're gone, they're gone. So don't wait. Don't assume. Don't spend your fortune by mistake. That if you enjoyed this journey and want to dig deeper into the hidden treasures living in your old change, you'll want to watch the next video in this series. Your next rare coin might be waiting just a click away, and remember, the future doesn't always change with a job, or a raise, or a lottery ticket. Sometimes, it starts with a simple penny in the palm of your hand.